Welcome all in today's section of subject refrigeration and air conditioning. Today we are going to revise our unit number 1, which is application of refrigeration and air conditioning and refrigerant. So in this there are the two parts. First one is the application of refrigeration system and another one is the refrigerant. So in first one part, which is application, we are going to see the topics such as we are going to see the topics such as domestic refrigerator, then domestic air conditioner, then automotive air conditioner, then evaporative coolers, then water coolers, then commercial refrigeration, including dairy cold storage, ice plant, and commercial air conditioning for multiplex and hospitals. So, and in next part we are going to see the refrigerant. So in the refrigerant there is classification of refrigerant, then designation of refrigerant, desirable properties of refrigerants, then environmental issues, ozone depletion, global warming, all these issues we are going to see in our in this chapter, which is part 2 of this chapter under concept refrigerant. So before starting this chapter we have to revise our subject thermodynamics, which we are studied in our second year third sem. So here we are just taking a normal overlook on this chapter, on the basic of this chapter, which is basic of thermodynamics. So in thermodynamics there are two types of system. First one is the open system and second one is the closed system. You know what is system, what is surrounding. System is the part of universe which is under thermodynamic consideration, and surrounding it is the part of universe other than the system. Okay, so if the system shares both mass and energy with the surrounding, then this system becomes open system, and the system shares only energy with the surrounding, then this system becomes closed system. You know this very well, that example can be taken as open gas turbine and closed gas turbine. We already took this topic in the class, so more stretching is not important. Then we see these laws of thermodynamics. So here we go. This is basic of thermodynamics. So you know what is kinetic energy, what is potential energy. Kinetic energy, it is the energy possessed in body on virtue of its velocity, and the potential energy, it is the energy possessed in body on virtue of its position. Then we are going to see this enthalpy, which is H is equals to U plus PV, where U is the internal energy and PV is the product of pressure and volume. So this is the first law of thermodynamics. You can read here, which is heat and work are mutually convertible. Then second one is the law of conservation of energy. Then third, systematically it is impossible to construct perpetual motion machine of kind one. Then you know that perpetual motion machine of kind one is the machine which is continuously producing work without consuming any other form of energy from any other source. So this is impossible to construct. So here are some types of processes which we already see in our subject thermodynamics. Just we are just looking at one by one. First one is the constant volume process, which is velocity. Volume is remains constant. Then constant pressure process. This pressure remains constant, which is called as isobaric. Then constant temperature process, which is isothermal processes. PV is equals to C. Then adiabatic process, which is PV raised to the power gamma is equals to C. And for polytropic process, which is PV raised to the power n is equals to C. Then we are going to see this second law of thermodynamics. So in this second law of thermodynamics there are two statements. First one is the Clausius and another one is the Kelvin Planck statements. So in Clausius statement, It is impossible to construct an engine whose sole aim is to convert supplied heat energy from low. It is impossible to construct an engine who is supplying heat from low temperature body to high temperature body without aid of external work. And in this Kelvin-Planck statement, it is impossible to construct an engine which is operating in a cycle and whose sole aim is to convert supplied heat energy into equivalent amount of work. So it is not possible in practical. You already do know these two statements in our subject thermodynamics, so we are not stretching this much more. So here we goes to see the phase transformation at constant pressure, formation of steam. This system is, I already explained many times in the class that how this phase change occur as constant pressure. You can see this is the sensible heating because there is a ice is because at this temperature up to 0 the ice is just heating, and after ice is reach at the temperature 0 degree, then ice starts melting. You can see this is the melting time, and in this melting the heat is absorbed by this ice can be stated as latent heat. You can see this latent heat here. Again this when this complete ice is converted into the water, then again the temperature of this water is increasing here, but during this temperature increment there is no phase change occurs. So you can say that the heat absorbed in this region is sensible heat, and when this water reaches to temperature 100 degree centigrade, then what happens, then the water starts evaporating in that region. So you can say that the heat is absorbed there is latent heat. Similarly, after completion of the complete liquid to the vapor, then these vapors become superheated vapor. So in that region, this is again sensible heating of vapor. Okay. So this is the modes of heat transfer. So in a oral, sometimes question can be asked which is mode of heat transfer. So there are three modes: conduction, convection, and radiation. Then conduction transmission takes place in physical contact. Convection, it takes place by the movement of molecule, and radiation, it is heat transfer takes place in the form of electromagnetic waves. So here is the actual unit 1 is starting here, and the name of our unit is application of refrigeration and air conditioning. And read this name of this chapter here. So here is the refrigeration. So what is refrigeration? It is a branch of science which deals with the lowering and maintaining temperature of enclosure space below atmospheric temperature. So what is refrigeration? It is the branch of science which deals with lowering and maintaining the temperature of enclosure space below the atmospheric temperature. Then what is refrigerant? It is a working substance which either undergoes phase change or does not undergo phase change, but it produces the cooling. It is called as refrigerant. And there are two types of air conditioning system. First one is the industrial air conditioning, and another one is the comfort air conditioning. So here application of refrigeration. So following is the application. First one is the manufacturing of ice and preservation of food, preservation of medicines in chemical process plant, and etc. are the applications of refrigeration system. So here we are going to see the concept of this heat engine, heat pump, and refrigerant. Actually this is the basic of our subject, refrigeration and air conditioning, and being a mechanical engineer you already have to know the clear concept of what is heat pump, what is heat engine, and what is refrigeration. So here we are starting with the heat engine. So what is heat engine? It is a work producing device. You can see that from sink, which is as low temperature, which is at high temperature than source. So Heat is absorbed from high temperature and passing it to the low temperature, and the temperature difference is produces in the form of work. So it is, and the name of this device is heat engine. Here you can see the efficiency of heat engine and formality. And best example of heat engine is steam turbine. Steam turbine is absorbing heat from steam and passing that heat to the atmosphere, and during this the expansion of steam occurs, and how much heat energy is removed by the from the steam is we get in the form of work. So now this is the second concept of heat pump. So heat pump, it is for consuming device. It is used to maintain or to supply heat to the source. In what is heat pump? Heat pump is used to extract heat from the low body temperature and provide it to the high body temperature. We can see this is Q2 heat is removed from the sink and it is providing to the source. It is a heat consuming device, work consuming device. So here you have to supply it work in the form of either in the form of electricity or in the form of chemical energy. Here is the formula for COP of heat pump, which is it rejected in heated space upon work supply. So heat pump, you can whenever there is a winter season is going on, and suppose we are living in some European countries, so at that time the outside temperature is falls below 10 degree or 5 degree, so which is not comfort. So at this time we are using the heat pump. What heat pump does? Heat pump remove the heat from the surrounding and provide it to the room which is at higher temperature than the atmosphere. So heat pump is used, it can be used in the winter season, and it is here refrigerator. So its main aim is to remove heat from the sink. Our household refrigerator, what it maintains the inside temperature of this refrigerator cool than the atmosphere. Whatever the atmosphere condition, it is sometimes it is 40, 22, 22, 27, but inside temperature of this our refrigerator is always maintained in the range of 3 degree to 4 degree centigrade, and in the freezer it is maintained below 0 degree centigrade. So it is refrigerator, its main aim is to remove heat from the sink. And what is it is doing? Whenever you put some heating load in our refrigerator, it removes heat from this sink and provide it to the surrounding by the condenser. um, I show you how this refrigerator work in the next slide. So here is the basic conversion of 1 ton of refrigeration. uh, this conversion can be asked in the examination, so you just know that what is this conversion factor for 1 ton of refrigeration. 1 ton of refrigeration is 3.517 kilowatt, or sometimes it is taken as 210 kilojoule per minute or 211 kilojoule per minute here. Okay, which can be taken as 3.517 kilowatt by dividing it by 60. So the conversion factor is already given here. I already took this topic in the class also, so just read it and revise it, and if you have any problem then you can contact me. So here we are going to see the water cooler. Sometimes in the examination you may have a question that explain the working of water cooler. So water cooler, in our colleges or at many auditorium or public places, you can see this water cooler where you are using this water for drinking purpose, and the water coming out this cooler is cold one. So what is just focus on this diagram here. Okay, so what is the main components of this water cooler? Its component are these: insulated water tank, then this uh, capillary tube, then this suction line, then this condenser and evaporative coils. You can see this these circles here, you can see these circles here. These circles are of evaporative coil. So here you can read the explanation here. Evaporative coil are wound around water tank in which water is to be cooled. Then second one is evaporator is connected to the skated unit or compressor, which suctioner absorbs low pressure vapor and compresses it and pass it to the condenser. Condenser removes heat from high pressure refrigerant and convert it to the liquid refrigerant. This high pressure liquid refrigerant is when passed through a capillary tube or throttling device. It experiences pressure drop and temperature drops. As evaporator tubes liquid refrigerant changes phase from liquid to vapor, for this refrigerant absorbs heat from the water and the water contained in that tank got cooled. Uh, the working is same as that of the vapor compression refrigeration system, but instead of evaporator, we are using evaporator in the form of coil, and we wound this coil around the water tank. So working is much more similar to the vapor compression refrigeration system. So these are the components of refrigeration system. These are the components for vapor compression refrigeration cycle. So components are evaporator, compressor, condenser, and expansion device or throttling device. You can see this is compressor is connected to the condenser here. Condenser is connected to the receiver, connected to throttling valve, and this is the evaporator. Okay. Here evaporative coil is wound around the freezer cabinet for frosting. You can see this, it remains inside the refrigerator of household refrigerator. Then this is the compressor. The function of compressor is to receive the saturated vapor from the evaporator and convert this saturated vapor to a high pressure vapor and pass it to the condenser. You can see this at the bottom of our household refrigerator. Then condenser. The function of condenser is to remove heat from the high pressure refrigerant. In that condenser there is a phase change occurs. In condenser this high pressure vapor refrigerant is converted to high pressure liquid refrigerant, and heat is removed from this refrigerant, and either by the forced convection or by free convection. Then you can see the receiver here. Receiver is nothing other than the storage device where here high pressure liquid refrigerant is stored. Throttling valve, it is just a pressure control device which keeps the pressure here, which is on this one side there is a high pressure and on its other hand this is low pressure, so it is the pressure regulating device. So throttling valve allows this high pressure liquid to pass to the evaporator, and in that evaporator there is a pressure drop, and because of this pressure drop the temperature of this liquid refrigerant also decreases, and because of this the heat contained in that evaporator is absorbed by this liquid refrigerant, and the evaporator gets cool there. Okay, so this is how we are going to produce the refrigerating effect in the evaporator. So it is application of refrigeration and air conditioning system. So application can be stated as for preservation of food we are going to use the refrigeration system. So Here are the factors which are to be responsible for spoiling of food. So here are the factors which are responsible for spoiling of food. So first factor is spoiling agent, then enzymes, then microorganisms. So we are going to take some information related to these food spoiling agents. So spoiling agents are enzymes, then microorganisms, then cause of loss of vitamins and taste, then enzymes, then microorganisms which are bacteria, yeast, molds. So bacteria is the one living cell dividing itself into equal cells. Then yeast, the one cell plant. Yeast causes fermentation to convert sugar into alcohol. Then molds, simple plant cells but have number of cells. Then which are the methods of food preservation? So here I am listing the methods of food preservation, which is drying, then pickling, then boiling, then canning. These are the methods of preservation of foods. So just here that what is drying and what we are going to do this, why we are going to do this drying, pickling, boiling, all the processes. So drying or smoking. This method denies moisture in the microorganisms, so dried products stored in cool and dry places and can last for a long period. Smoking further improves preservation due to presence of antiseptic material like creosote. Then pickling. This method prevents contact of food item with moisture and oxygen by converting it with the oil. Fermentation of sugar in some product makes the surrounding acidic. All this allows preservation for long periods. Then boiling. This method is common methods which is used in household storage of milk and leftovers. Then canning. This method uses two ways of preserving foods. The product is first boiled at to high temperature for a short period, destroying enzymes and microorganisms, and then placed in a can. Air from the can is removed either by creating vacuum or introducing neutral gas like nitrogen CO2. This denies oxygen to spoilage agent, so a canned food can be stored for a very long time. Some products can be preserved with the help of sugar or salt, which create unfavorable conditions for microorganisms. Then concepts need of cold chain. In our country, large percentage of food vegetable is wastage because it reached before it reached the consumption center. Therefore, it is ensured that quality of fruits and vegetables is maintained farm fresh. There is a need of cold chain. As desirable earlier, vegetables and fruits are spoiled due to aging as their time passes. In order to maintain the quality, refrigeration method of preservation is ensured from the time of plucking, harvesting to consumer's table. Therefore, pre-cooling at the farm, transportation through refrigerated vehicles, long-term cold storage at the wholesaler, and short-term refrigerated storage at the premises of retailer and consumers. This is known as cold chain. Okay. So here is the concept of domestic air conditioning. So whatever the air conditioning system, there are four normally common components, which are compressor, condenser, expansion wall, and evaporator. So here we are going to see these four components first. First one is the evaporator, the condenser, then compressor, and here expansion wall is hidden here, and you can see this capillary and suction line. Construction can be stated here that the condenser and evaporator are placed at two end of, and compressor is placed in the middle. The boiler, here you can see this boiler or ventilation flap. The boiler pulls room air in, and this air passes through the filter and comes in contact with evaporator coil, if becomes cool and then supplied to the room. Ventilation flap is used to take outside air, fresh air inside room. What happens when this room air coming inside, it comes in the evaporator, and in that evaporator it gets cooled, and this cool air is then supplied to the room. And how this evaporator remains cool, I already explained in the working of vapor compression refrigeration cycle. Same working is function is applied here, only instead of that water, here air is coming in contact, that's why air is cool, so it becomes domestic air conditioning. If it is comes in contact with the water tank, then it becomes water cooler, nothing other than this fan is used to create the draft. Here this fan is used to create the force convection. We want to remove heat from condenser in a fast way, that's why we are using the fan, so it becomes force convection. Okay, so here is the example of evaporative coolers. I already explained evaporative coolers more than 3 times in the class, but still it is present here, so I am going to explain. Just listen to me carefully. What is construction of this evaporative cooler? Evaporative cooler contains of motor. What is function of motor? To run the fan, and we can say that by running the fan it is creating draft by absorbing outside air and providing it to the room. Okay, then again this is having pump. The function of pump is to uh, keep the wet pads always wet with the water. So when the wet pads are always wet with the water, and when outside air moves through these wet pads when the fan is running, at this time when this air comes in contact with the water pads, the water on the water pads got evaporated. For this evaporation, they absorb heat from the air, and this air becomes cool, and this cool air is again supplied to the room. As here is the evaporation of water occurs, we call these as evaporative coolers. I hope you guys understand the concept. I am going to explain again here. When this outside air comes in from the wet pad, the water content on that wet pad gets evaporated, and for that evaporation it extracts heat from the air, and as the heat from air is absorbed by the water, the air gets cool, and this cool air is then supplied to the room by using the fans. As the evaporation of water occurs, the name of the cooler is its place at evaporative coolers. Now we are going to see the next part of this our subject. Next part, which is refrigerant. So what is refrigerant? Refrigerant, it is a substance that absorbs heat either by expansion or vaporization and reject it through the condensation. It's called in condenser is called as refrigerant. So here is the classification of refrigerant is provided. First one is the primary refrigerant, another one is the secondary refrigerant. So primary refrigerant, it is the refrigerant which undergoes phase change, and secondary refrigerant is the refrigerant which does not undergo phase change. This is the main difference between the primary refrigerant and secondary refrigerant. So here are some again primary refrigerant are classified into halocarbons, azotrops, hydrocarbons. In halocarbons, they are classified as compounds of carbon and halogens and chlorine. So here are the examples of halocarbons which are R11 and R12. Then azotrops, it is a mixture of different refrigerants. Then hydrocarbon, it is the compound of hydrogen and carbon. It is a highly inflammable, and examples can be taken as R50 and R170. Example of secondary refrigerant are water and brine solution, which does not undergo phase change. Okay. Here is again one type of this primary primary refrigerant, which is inorganic compound. So inorganic compounds like ammonia, water, and carbon dioxide can be taken as a refrigerant. Now we are going to see the thermodynamic properties of refrigerant. So first property is boiling point, another one is the freezing, then evaporating pressure, then condenser pressure. So low boiling point of refrigerant is expected. If boiling point of refrigerant is high, then the use of refrigerant to run system on vacuum or low pressure is desired. Low boiling point of R12 is minus 29.8 degrees centigrade at atmospheric pressure. Then here freezing point. Below the evaporator temperature, else it causes blockage in system. Then what is evaporative pressure? Slightly above the atmospheric pressure. Then condensing pressure. Low condensing pressure is desired to avoid leakage. Then this is latent heat of vaporization. High latent heat of vaporization is desired to produce maximum refrigeration effect. Then critical temperature and pressure. Well above consider condensing temperature of refrigerator and pressure for any condensation of vapor. Then this is the chemical properties of refrigerant which are desirable. So toxicity, corrosiveness, flammability, miscibility of oil, then effect on food stuff. So chemical properties. Our refrigerant is non-toxic, should be non-poisonous, is desirable. Non-corrosive refrigerant is desirable. Then the refrigerant should not be inflammable with presence of oil. The refrigerant should not mix with the oil, otherwise it will make misfunctioning of the oil, and problem in the compressor can be occurs. The effect of food stock. Refrigerant should not make the food items poisonous, which comes in contact with it is desirable. So these are the secondary refrigerant. These are the liquid coolants used to transfer heat from refrigerant space or body to the primary refrigerant circulated inside the refrigerating machine. Secondary refrigerant does not undergo phase change. Example: water, brines, hydrocarbon compound, etc. So secondary refrigerant are always associated with the primary refrigerant that does not undergo phase change. Okay. Then advantages of secondary refrigerant. Different room of building can be cooled up to different temperature by adjusting the flow rates of secondary refrigerant. This can be easily handled. Their control is easy. The size of piping required is reduced since these are in liquid form. Absolute safety in air conditioning installation, as leak of refrigerant vapor cannot reach up to the space air conditioner. The following are some desirable properties. It should be safe to use, hence should be non-inflammable, non-toxic and non-corrosive. It should not freeze within working temperature limits. It should have high specific heat capacity. It should be cheap. It should have low viscosity. Now we are going to see this concept of ozone depletion. Ozone layer is present in 50 kilometers from Earth's surface in stratoscope. So it prevents us from the ultraviolet rays or UV rays. Some CFC given out of different process reaches to the ozone layer, reacts with ozone to form various compounds and reduce the thickness of ozone layer, called as ozone depletion. Here you can see these various chemical processes that how this CCl2F2 dichlorofluorocarbon get diffused to become CCl2F2 and producing a single atom of chlorine, and this single atom of chlorine react with the ozone layer O3 producing ClO and O2. Here what happens, this ozone layer O3 get depleted to O2, so we can say that O3 gas is depleted to O2, and because of this the ozone layer get depleted and its thickness is going to be reduced. We already know that there is a big hole is appeared on the Antarctica on this ozone layer, which is problematic to the scientist and human being also. Then here is the concept of global warming or greenhouse effect, and then Montreal Protocol. Global warming potential is index to represent the global warming impact of an emission of greenhouse gas in relation to the impact from the emission of similar amount of CO2 in a given time period. Lower the value of GWP of refrigerant, lower will be its impact on the global warming. So this gaseous layer allows the sunlight to heat radiation to come in, but does not allows them to go back, and it traps the radiations inside. This tries to increase the temperature of Earth's surface, which is referred as global warming. In greenhouse effect, the solar heat of short wavelength enters through the glass house and but does not get radiated back through the glass and converts into heat having long waves radiation. This long wavelength radiation is reflected by the glass and the heat is trapped inside the glass house to keep the plant clean. Similarly, the solar heat enters the layer formed by the gases emitted from Earth's surface but does not get radiated back to space due to different wavelengths. This tends to increase the temperature of the Earth's surface. The global warming can have frightening effects in the long run. Then we are going to see this Montreal Protocol. It was noticed that chlorofluorocarbon CFC and have ozone depletion potential. CFC are stable compounds in the normal atmosphere As I explained above, when there is rise to ozone layer, there is a decompose. It is in 1974 it was noticed that CFC like hard Leonard will have ozone layer depletion potential. In 1987, an agreement was signed by representatives of many countries and Montreal, Canada. Montreal it is the city. This protocol set a timeline for phasing out of CFC gases. So you can see this timetable for phasing out of CFCs as follows. Until July 99, freeze composition level to average of 1995 to 1999. In January 2005, phase out 50% consumption. In January 2007, phase out 80% of consumption. In January 2010, phase out 100% of consumption. Developed countries have already phased out of CFC per timetable. Okay. Then this is the global warming potential. Global warming potential is an index to represent the global warming impact of emission of greenhouse gas in relation to the impact from the emission of similar amount of CO2 in a given time period. Lower the value of GWP of refrigerant, lower will be its impact on the global. Then we are going to see the life cycle climate performance LCCP. Here you can see the promising alternatives to CFC refrigerant. Here R123 is a replacement to CFC or R11. Then HFC R245 can be a replacement to CFC R11. R407 mixture of HFC is 32 HF and 25 and it is replacement to R22. Then R410 it is mixture of HFC 32 and HF 134, so it is also a replacement. Though phase out of timetable are discussed but permitted the use of HFC as short-term alternative to CFC, search for long-term alternative made commercial sense. As the chlorine atom in the culprit obviously choice as an alternative with hydrofluorocarbon. The CFC and HCFC was obtained by replacement of hydrogen atom by halogen atoms from the common hydrocarbons like methane, ethane, etc. If these halogenated carbons are arranged in a triangle with C and F at base and H at apex, it is noticed that the compound in are closer to H apex to inflammable. There is areas closer to the apex to greater ODP, so the compounds in area closer to F apex have less ODP, ozone depletion. However, in replacement of H atom in heavier compound like proton and butane is very expensive, and so the range of HFCs is very narrow. Then we are going to discuss this HCFC R123, the replacement to CFC R11. The refrigerant is found to be suitable as a replacement to R11, which is used extensively nowadays in centrifugal compressor application due to high specific volume. This is close to drop-in refrigerant in these units. It is high toxicity but less inflammability compared to R11. However, the use of R123 in place of R11 is only an integrating solution since it has low ODP being HCFC. HCFC R245C. This refrigerant has a great potential to be a long-term substitute R111. It gives reasonable performance with the same compressor size. However, it would take some time before it is commercialized since it is still under investigation. Then certain mixture of refrigerant as replacement CFC R11, R12 and HCFC R22. This R407 is a mixture of 23, 25 and 52 by weight of HFC 32, HFC 125 and HFC 134A. It is possible substitution for R22, which is very good capacity and energy efficient. Then R410. Substitutes for CFC R12 refrigerant. R12 is commonly used refrigerant in domestic refrigeration industry using hermetically sealed compressor for refrigerators. Water coolers are, due to its excellent thermodynamic properties, stability, good cooling and characteristics for its motor windings. Many refrigerants are being tried to substitute this refrigerant. Some of these refrigerants are being discussed below. HFC 134A as a replacement to R12. R134A has almost similar thermodynamic properties as R12 except that it has higher volume flow rates, is more flammable, it has more tendency to leakage. It has higher specific heat, therefore produces subcooled vapor in condenser and higher refrigerating effect. It reacts with hydrocarbon oil refrigerants, therefore the polyolefin POE oil is needed to be used in the Then again you can see this Kyoto protocol. Some of the replacement mentioned above is already extensively used in USA. Let's say HFCs, which is same to be in the solution, however have run into a rough weather due to their global warming potential. In Kyoto, Japan, 150 countries initiated an agreement to reduce the emanation of greenhouse gases like CHGS. Though carbon dioxide was the main irritant, HFC also formed part of other 5 gases. The agreement is known as Kyoto Protocol. It is not yet signed by participating countries, through implementation by developed countries as already in progress. The protocol proposes reduction of CHES by 5.2% below 1990 level by 2008 to 2012, gives ODP and GWP. Then again we are having this natural refrigerant. So as a result of this HCFC providing to be greenhouse producing the greenhousing effect, the argument is that CFC and HCFC, which considered to be almost ideal refrigerant, now needs replacement, and even their synthetic alternatives also proven to be GHS. So moving to this natural refrigerant, there are ammonia, hydrocarbons, air, then carbon dioxide and water. We is having this chemical properties, reaction properties, and now we are going to see this ammonia as a refrigerant. The old warehouse of refrigerant industry is increasing, finding the new application. The disadvantages like toxicity and inflammability have been controlled by better understanding and improvement of technology. The plate type heat exchanger, spray type shell and tube condenser are better material promise to reduce the charge of system by as much as 90%. In Europe, there is an ammonia system which uses the secondary refrigerant are there till 10% more efficient. Ammonia also has used a absorption refrigeration system. Ammonia finds extensive use in Scandinavian countries. Hydrocarbons. All hydrocarbons have zero ODP and almost zero GWP. The main drawback is that there is extreme inflammability and explosiveness. However, their low liquid density makes the charge system very low, thus improves its safety in case of leak. The main HC refrigerant are propane and isobutane. However, they have different volumetric characteristics requiring large compressors and better safety standards. It is necessary to formulate new safety standards specifying the maximum charges permissible in plant. In a larger plant, use secondary refrigerant would ensure adequate safety in working space. Air. Air was one of the earliest refrigerant. However, with the advent of vapor compression cycle and the CFC, use of air was restricted only to aircraft refrigeration system. At present, German Railway is using two types of air cycles for its high-speed train ICE. The energy consumption and maintenance requirement are capable of VC cycles, so it would also from a variable alternative in future. Carbon dioxide and water. Water was a solution with salt was used for a long time as a secondary refrigerant. The comeback of refrigerant like ammonia hydrocarbons would result in increasing use of secondary refrigerant for safety. A recent innovation in the use of secondary refrigerant is ice slurry containing small crystal of ice. This gives an advantage of higher capacity with lesser flow rate due to latent heat of fusion of ice. Such systems are in use in Germany and Denmark for cooling. In large cooling applications, the ice crystals are produced by scrubbed evaporator or fluid aspect evaporator method. Water as primary refrigerant is now being used extensively for air conditioning purpose in LIBR water absorption system. Its limitation of freezing point makes it suitable only for AC and water chilling applications.